This is your Utica Comets pregame show with Eyewitness News Sports Director David Edelstein. Utica Comets Faceoff.
Utica Comets play the Syracuse Crunch for the 14th and final time this season. Good evening, I'm David Edelstein, and welcome to Comets Faceoff. It's also the conclusion of 5 games in a row against the Crunch, and after that, it's just 3 games against Rochester, and the 2021 season's already come to an end. Utica had a home-and-home against Syracuse this weekend. First in Utica, Comets head coach Trent Cole has said that all year, these are 2 evenly matched teams. 2 minutes left in the first period on Friday. No score. Shot by Lockwood's blocked, but Tanner Kaspick slips and with the wraparound scores. His second goal of the season, Comets take a 1-0 lead. But as it was a few nights before, Syracuse tied it up 20 seconds later. Now the Comets on the power play. Sam Annis whiffed, but it gets stolen back, and Stevens to Stevens, the brothers, John to Nolan, scores. The brothers connect for the power play, and Utica's back up by 1. But you know what happened next, as it's been. Syracuse tied it up again just a minute 20 seconds later. Josh Wesley with Carson Fote available, and they get around the defender and scores his second goal of the year. The Comets then took the 3-2 lead into the third. Tyler Tucker wound up going around, and he's on defense, has a twin brother who plays center in a hockey league, identical twin, and here he puts one off the crossbar for his first professional goal. But Utica gave up 2 goals 22 seconds apart to tie it up at 4, and then watch this. We're in overtime. Utica's already beaten the Crunch once in OT this year. Jet Wu takes it end-to-end. Talk about working on your 200-foot game. 5-4 is the final score. And then on Sunday, the teams rematched. The next day, Saturday rather, Utica dropped that one 4-2. Hugh McGing scored in period 1 to tie it 1-1 at the first break. The Crunch scored 2 in the second. Lucas Jasek then scored his 4th of the year in the third, but Syracuse added 1 for insurance a few minutes later. So the Comets are now 6-7-0 against the Crunch this year. As far as the chase for the top spot by points percentage, if Utica wins all 4 of its remaining games, including tonight, it would only be at 625 points percentage, currently only good enough for 4th place, which is currently in. Head-to-head, Syracuse has scored nearly a third more goals than it's let up. Utica's let up more goals than it allowed, and special teams can be a key tonight, as they're similar numbers by percentage, though Utica's had more man advantages and fewer penalties against. The Comets are without their offensive leader, Jonah Gadjevic still. He's still up with the Vancouver Canucks, so Sam Annis remains the points leader, most from assists as well, a category he led the entire league in last year. And it's Sven Berchi and John Stevens who lead in goals. Annis is the points per game leader, of course, and Berchi putting the puck on net. No surprise here for the Crunch either. Boris Tkachuk has been doing it all recently, and we've seen it the past 4 games. Taylor Radish does reclaim the lead in goals for the team, though. Tkachuk and Otto Sampi each have 11, so 1 just less. Radish is the only other Crunch player averaging more than a point per game for Syracuse. So we're looking forward to seeing these names in action again tonight. After the break, we'll check in with Comets associate head coach Drew Bannister. We'll discuss what he's learned from this season and also what he plans to take with him as they head to Springfield next year. We'll see you after the break.
You're watching the Utica Comets Face-Off.
The Comets have been a merger of 2 organizations this year. As we know at this point, it's been the Vancouver Canucks prospects and the St. Louis Blues prospects. And right now we're going to be joined by Comets associate head coach Drew Bannister, who would typically be the head coach for the St. Louis Blues American Hockey League team. This year would have been in Springfield, but now they're in Utica. So, Drew, we spoke a lot early in the season about how this was going to be a team effort, and hockey always is, but you did say specifically that it was going to take specific focus to make sure that the guys actually played together and gelled well when they were coming from these 2 different organizations that didn't know each other, and then to get them to play as one Utica Comets team. But then, of course, you have a month off where you're in March and literally all you can do is stay apart from each other during COVID-19 protocols, so that's not exactly the coming together that you were looking for. But the players have said since then that they were able to make it through those challenges and the recovery process by playing so many games together also and doing well because of how they've come together afterward. So I'm wondering from you, as you reflect on the season now, what is your evaluation of how the team has progressed compared to what you thought it had or would coming in?
Yeah, I mean, I think you go into the season with the best intentions, but you never know what's going to happen. You've never been in this situation before with COVID, obviously, and then obviously with the 2 parent clubs playing together. But I think we hit the ground running pretty quick, and credit to Trent for getting our guys, the group together really quickly, and credit to the players too. I think we like to think it went smooth and it was easy sailing, but it is difficult, right? Like there's a lot of things to work through. There's a lot of things, whether it's for the players, or the staff, or their management, moving pieces to make things work, in a situation like this. So I think everybody had kind of a hand in how fluidly it went, for both groups, and how that's worked out from top to bottom. But at the end of the day, I think you have to give credit to the players that sometimes egos can get in the way, and I think we did a pretty good job as a staff, sitting down with our players and helping them understand how we felt the season would run, and how would we, how each player would have a role on the team and how that would look. I think when looking back when we first got here, and now where we are right now, there's been a lot of challenges. I think we faced them head on, and quite honestly, I think we've handled them very well. And I think there's things that, popped up that we didn't see would probably happen. And it's just, I think for both organizations, it's worked out really well in a tough situation. I think we've been pretty lucky, to be honest with you. Really happy with how we've been treated by the Vancouver staff and how they've welcomed us. And I don't think it could have happened anywhere else. I don't think it's gone as well as it has here with our group.
So, Coach, I think you deserve a lot of credit also, just because of the fact that you were coming into this AHL season expecting that you were going to be a head coach of a team, as you have been, in a new location. But that new location, you weren't expecting it to be Utica, and you weren't expecting to have to work with an entirely new coaching staff as well. So how did you really adapt your mindset from going from I'm the head coach of this team to, wow, I also need to gel with my new coworkers?
I think for me, it was, I kind of approached it as a learning experience. I think I've never worked under a head coach at the pro level, and I kind of took it on myself to kind of put myself in that mind frame where I get to learn from two coaches, Gary, who's been around since I was playing junior, and he was a head coach. So and has played, coached at every level. And Trent, who's, been a head coach or an assistant coach at this level for a lot longer than I've been coaching. So, I came up through junior and, spent 3 years as an assistant coach. And then I went right into head coaching and spent 3 years as a head coach. And then I came right to the American League. So, I kind of had to learn on the fly a little bit. I hadn't coached at pro, even though I played it, but it's, I was back in 2010, and this was the last time I was anywhere in an American League dressing room. So there was still a lot for me to learn. I learned on the fly a little bit myself, but I felt for me to come in here and work with Trent and Gary and have our staff here too and work with them. For me, it was a learning experience, and really tried to get as much out of it as I could. And I can only do that if you have coaches that are very receptive. And like I said, like Trent's done a great job with our staff, delegating roles for each people to make us feel a part of it, and that's the thing. Like he's done a great job of making, whether it's our players or our staff, he's made everybody feel a part of it. And that's when you do that, you can do good things. And I think that's, we're not winning championships, but we feel good about our organization. We feel good about our players, both sides, when we leave here, I guess, in a week from now.
Not winning championships this year, of course, because there are no playoffs to play. But what are some of those things that you did wind up learning that you think that you can actually take from what you've seen from Trent Cole and the new Canucks organization that you got a chance to work with into your experience next year, hopefully as the head coach in Springfield in a normal season?
Yeah, so I mean, like any head coach, I think during the summer you spend a lot of time on, reviewing your year and what you liked, what you didn't like, and what you would change differently when you're going into the year. So I think one of the things that we talked a lot about this summer is just our day-to-day, how we would run things. So number one is our plan was very similar to what Trent came here, but we hadn't, been able to use it when we were in Springfield. So I think that's number one thing, is that, what we had planned on and what Trent was doing was very similar. I've seen a lot of success with it. So, and I'm very comfortable. So I'm excited about that. So it was, even though it was his plan, it was something that we wanted to do, and he's implemented here, and something probably he's always done. It's just his day-to-day or his week-to-week plan. And then there was a few things that, extra that he's added on to it that I'd say, that's something we didn't think about. I like that. And then just get up and go on. But like I said, you're constantly, learning, whether it's from practices, team play, or just day-to-day operations. Those are things that I took away this year from Trent and the rest of their staff.
Well, we look forward to seeing how that works out tonight. One more week left. We'll be sure to enjoy that. Tonight's puck drops at 7 p.m. against the Crunch, so thank you to Utica Comets Associate Head Coach Drew Bannister for joining us. We'll also look forward to seeing how you do next year as well. But for now, on the other side of the break, we send it over to Comets broadcaster Jason Shia. And after the game, go check out cmihomepage.com for your game highlights. Until then, enjoy the game, everybody. Stay friendly and stay tuned.